Good morning, I'm Keith Grant, joining you from the 12 News Digital Desk. Of course, the men's and women's NCAA tournament started this week. K-State women and KU men, we're keeping an eye on them as they make their way through. However, with the party comes the scammers, of course. From the Better Business Bureau is Josh Planos. He is here to help you curb those scams. Good morning, Josh. So, of course, it can turn quickly from March Madness to sadness, of course, with scams that are coming out. I guess we'll start with ticket buying best practices. This has been an issue in the past. What can you kind of say about that?
Yeah, March Madness to sadness is a really good way to put it, Keith. We do see a lot, especially in the digital space, with folks not really knowing where to turn for tickets, which can be very costly. So they might turn to avenues of the internet that they otherwise wouldn't consider exploring. But our recommendation, right, is to purchase from the venue or the official event page whenever possible, just because you have that additional layer of security. You know that there is a refund policy in place. And for the NCAA tournament, that's ncaa-tickets.com. So avoiding that secondary market is going to be best practice. Of course, financially speaking, it'll be a little bit more challenging, right? The price and entry point will be considerably higher. But we'd also recommend that you know that refund policy before you purchase any ticket from a reseller. Make sure that those details are very clear in the terms of the transaction, because much as we like to assume that everything's going to go according to plan, life is a habit of getting in the way. And you want to make sure that you're at least signing up for an opportunity that provides some level of security for the consumer.
Of course. Now, I know that using this, we always try to use it going directly to the source. But I guess say that's not an option. Say that, tickets are sold out, but you find a really good deal somewhere and somebody wants you to use maybe a third-party app to pay for those. I guess, is that something to try and avoid or try to use?
Well, I mean, at the very least, do a little bit of research on that provider to see whether they've sold tickets in the past, whether the company in question has, let's say, contact information, assuming that things don't go according to plan. That's why BBB.org, so you can look up those sellers and resellers to ensure that they are legitimate operators and not someone who is just looking to turn a quick profit, which is typically what scammers are also looking to do. And in the advent of the digital age, it's very difficult to know whether that barcode that you're receiving is legitimate until you get right up to the venue entrance. So work with those who have provided sales in the past, so you're not left holding the bag with a scammer or someone who is not interested in actually selling you an opportunity to attend an event.
Yeah, of course. So I guess that's for tickets. I wanted to talk a little bit about sports betting as well, because it's become super popular over the past few years. Is that an issue that people can run into as far as scams that way?
Yes, you're going to see a whole lot of advertising in the coming weeks that might allege, free money up front, or picks that might, have a ridiculously high success rate. There's a reason why that messaging looks the way it does. It's because it's intended to get you to click, to tap. There's going to be a lot of temptation, right? The opportunity to turn a quick buck off, an entertainment product is something that millions of Americans are taking part in legitimately. But don't fall for those tempting ads. So gambling-related pop-ups, spam email, text messages, all of that communication is designed really without the intention of actually getting you to place a legitimate bet. It's typically bringing you to a site that you've never heard of, which there's a reason for that. And you want to make sure that you're not providing personal and payment information on those sites. So looking for established approved services, whitelisted sports books that have been approved by your area's gaming commission is our best practice. In the US, ESPN has a list of where sports betting is legal in the first place. So you want to make sure that, again, you're working with a legitimate company with legitimate terms and conditions.
Of course. I guess, is there any way that we can go and look and find, I guess, online sports betting places that are recommended or are established?
Yeah, so I mean, I would recommend going through. You go through bbb.org to see if that gambling company has been accredited. You can also look up ESPN has that list of sites. Your Bet MGMs, your DraftKings, right? The companies that you've actually heard of in the past. That's a really good place to start. You'd be surprised at how many folks just click on the first advertisement on their social media timeline that brings them to a site they've never heard of before. So you want to make sure, right, that you're working with a company with infrastructure that can capably handle both the buy-in and probably most importantly, the cash out process.
Of course, I feel like this is almost like a case of if it's too good to be true, it probably is not real. Um, so I guess since we're talking about these scams, if someone falls into this, I think that like what can actually happen? What has happened? I guess to people, how much money has been taken?
With gambling, you're talking about a considerable sum of money. I mean, this is, I would say that the reports that we field are typically not low dollar amounts because maybe it's easier theoretically to move past that experience than say having lost, $10,000. However, investment scams of all types really range from, a couple $100 to millions of dollars. And gambling is no different, particularly with how challenging it can be for folks to cash out with these mobile apps. I think regardless of the degree of sophistication of that company, that has been a recurring issue for many consumers. But we have fielded reports of people losing many tens of thousands of dollars to these types of scams.
Of course, and so for I guess as we head back to ticket buying, is this an issue year over year?
It is. It is. It's something that, with the advent of the digital ticket, that just expedited the degree of difficulty for folks. It made things considerably more challenging because you can't really stand in a line these days without hearing about someone who's trying to pull up a QR code for the first time or navigating the digital space, the ticket buying space for the first time. Anytime confusion is injected into the conversation, it puts consumers on their heels and puts scammers kind of in an advantageous position. So ticket buying scams have been around for generations, but with how easy it is to scale initiatives these days, especially digital ones, it is a consistent and increasing issue that we are monitoring.
Yeah, I guess since we've talked about preventing scams, I guess are there any suggestions on what to do if you are scammed or if you think you've been scammed?
The our one tip, right, is to really not go quiet. I know that sounds really simple in theory, but you'd be surprised at how many folks believe that their experience doesn't matter, that nothing good can come of it. We have been able to connect people with lost money, and the only way we can do that, or to educate the public that something is happening, is by knowing that it is happening in the first place. So report it to bbb.org/scam tracker. We have a free publicly available tool that can keep you anonymous and can realistically run the opportunity of you securing that money again.
Yeah, I feel
Of
like
course, using a credit card is going to be best practice too in order to dispute those charges.
I feel like it can also be embarrassing to admit that you did get scammed.
Without a doubt. I mean, there are psychological components to this. There are emotional components to this. It's not as simple as, I got scammed and I want to move forward. But the best way to protect your community is to speak up.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us this morning, Josh. Of course, I'm sure you're keeping your eye on the tournaments happening right now as well. All right. Have a great rest.